would be in week 8. Now, what I've done in this instance, I need to actually show you what the finished product is going to look like because it's got some behaviors that you cannot see on Canvas. All right, you're going to want to get the week 8 in-class work and download that file folder. Go ahead and going to my downloads, extract it, say, okay, I got it, week 8. And there's my Sublime. Okay, so, all right, so in Canvas, this is maybe not going to make a lot of sense. What we're going to be doing is using this document, using this form to create a story. If you've ever done Mad Lib before, that's basically what we're creating. Okay, it's kind of fun. You can do it with JavaScript, and it's Oh, okay, yeah. It's one of my beginning projects too when I was doing JavaScript for the very first time. Use the form elements here to get some inputs, and then I feed them into some text, and then I output it into this bubble here. Okay? That's basically what we're going to be doing. And I'll show you what that looks like, provided it all works. Week 8. There we go. With Google Chrome. Okay, so here we go. All right, so go ahead and do this as an interactive. Give me a name. First name, any name. Doug. All right, another name. Patrick. A noun. Ball? Huh? Claw. Inhuman body part. Keep it clean. I should do this in lowercase. Tentacle. Exclamation. Somebody else. Wow. Wow. Okay. Number. 42. The meaning of life. Another number? 7. Something big. Another something big. What?
Bridge.
Bridge? Adjective. Describing word.
Very.
Say it again?
Very.
Very? Isn't that an adverb? Very. Angry. Okay. I could say very angry. How about that? That'll make us both happy. And occupation. Yeah. Firefighter. Okay. So I want you to notice a couple of behaviors. First of all, this right here, story time, is going to change. When I hit write story, this button right here is going to make the form disappear. It's going to feed all of these variables into my story and then populate a story bubble. Okay? So those are all the behaviors that I programmed into it. Okay, so here it is. Write the story. Bam! So you see, story time with Doug Monster. Doug was our first name, right? The very first one. Put it into there. And then the rest of the story got put into here. I'll read it for those of you who can't. Patrick was born in the soft, rich soil underneath an old claw to monstrous but loving parents. Patrick first stuck its cute little tentacle up out of the soil. Its parents exclaimed, "Wow!" When Patrick was just 42 years old, It bit its first skyscraper in half. Everyone was so surprised. After 7 years, when Patrick was 49 years old, it ate a bridge in just 3 bites. We all knew Patrick had a very angry future ahead of it, and we were right. Patrick landed a career as a firefighter. Okay. Anger. That was my misspelling.
So it became like an old Nintendo 64 monster?
I don't know. So another thing that I did in here in this code was where it says after 7 years when Patrick was just 49 years old, I added those 2 variables together. I put math into it. All right, so that's some of the strength of JavaScript. It makes your pages interactive and dynamic, right? Changeable. Whereas when you're doing HTML, things are pretty static, right? And if I want to rewrite the story, I can go back to my form, right? That button creates another behavior, right? So that's what we're going to be doing over the next maybe 3 class periods. And I thought I would save us a little bit of time, I hope, by in week 8, you go into here and open up the page in Google Chrome. Some of it is already done, so we don't have to do the entire build of the page. Hopefully we can just get to some of the fun stuff right away. And by fun, I mean fun in quotes. Like, this is JavaScript, people. It's not always exactly fun.
The final result is fun.
Yeah, there we go.
Agonizing.
It's not that bad. Okay, so let's open this up in our text editor of choice. No, I don't want that. Open desktop. So everybody has week 8, the HTML file. Okay. No, I want just that. There we go. Okay. All right. So let's just go over this really briefly. We've got our standard wrapper. We've got our standard headline here. Now, I've given the headline an ID. That is so that I could change that to Storytime with Doug. Right, Doug Monster. The ID allows me to get this. These are the important connections. When you write in HTML for the purpose of JavaScript, the ID is the thing you want. Make sure that you're giving your objects IDs. Okay, anything that you want to change needs to have an ID. Right? In our main content area, I've divided a left column from a right column, just so I can get my monster on the left-hand side. And then my right-hand side, I'm going to have my form and my story bubble. Both of them are written at basically at the same time. I put my form in, and then right beneath it I put my bubble in, and then I just make one of them disappear. Okay? So that's why you'll find both the form and the story bubble within the same div, which is the right column. All right. So what I want to do is go through and have us create the actual form, because I want you to get some practice doing the labels and so forth, but also giving the IDs. All right, because we're going to be using those. Okay, so column, we got that. Okay, let's go ahead and in the form here, underneath the H2, I'm going to create a form element, and I'm going to put it in my paragraph tags. And again, this is the way I do it. Mike's got a different way, and that is you basically take the label and you put it around the input field. Both of them work, just so you know. Okay. The way I'm doing it, I understand better because I'm going to use CSS to line everything up. Okay? Yeah, I know. It's just a different way. All I'm saying is there are different ways to do this. Okay? All right. Label. Whoop. Label. Label. It's French. All right. For let's see. Did I? Curious to know something. Ah, there we go. All right. So this is going to be name 1. This is going to be the first name item, and got it in quotes. And then here is the actual label itself. Then I'm going to end the label tag. And then I'm going to actually create the input field for name 1. That is input type equals text. Why not text area? Anybody remember?
Because it just creates a box.
Big old box. I don't want a big old box. I just want a line. That's right. Okay, so this, the ID, needs to match the label 4. All right, so this is going to be name 1. And I'm going to put in here required because I don't want it to go forward without actually getting an input. Okay. Now, why did I give this input an ID? Right. I need to be able to get a hold of that information that's in that, so I've got to give it an ID. Now I could take that, I could make an input, give it no ID. I'd have no way of grabbing a hold of what's inside of it. Okay? So that is my first one. I'm going to be efficient here. I'm going to copy paste a bunch of stuff. All right. So let's go ahead and grab from P tag to P tag. Rinse and repeat. I don't remember how many I need. We'll find out here in a moment. Okay. Need a bunch of them. Okay. So we need 11. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Very good. Efficient. All right. Now my second item is going to be for name 2. All right, and this and the ID need to match. So I'll just make sure those two things match right off the front. Okay, and then this one is going to be another name. If I go too quickly, please raise your hand and say, Richardson, slow down.
So we just name 1, name 2,
I did name 2, and another name here. The next one is not a name. Right. Yeah, the next one is, it is in this form.
The only one that is called nouns, I believe, the buildings and nouns. The body parts and nouns.
Well, sure. But those are more specific. All right, so in this, this is the third item that we're working on. It's going to be for noun, and I'm going to give it the label noun. Okay. Next is inhuman body part, and I'm going to do that in camel case, Be easier just to copy paste that from the for item. Paste that in there. We're going to call that inhuman body part. Next one is exclamation. Go ahead and copy and paste. If I misspell something, let me know. Exclamation. This one is going to be, oops. This one is going to be number 1. I just need to say number in the actual label, though. This one is going to be number 2. And I'm going to say another number. The ID for this is going to be something big 1. Something big. This one will be something big 2. Oops. Something big 2. And this will be another something big. Second to the last one will be adjective. A-D-G-E-C-T-I-V-E. Adjective. There we go. Last one, occupation. And go ahead and save it and look at your document. Does it look like a proper form? Kind of, sort of? Okay. Yeah, it doesn't line up yet, right? We need to fix that. Still here typing. Are we unfinished?
Yeah.
So, okay.
I got one.
Okay. Anybody got a good joke? Kill the time. Alexander's probably got a million. He's holding out on us. That's what I think. Quiet guy back there just could tell us a joke with holding. Nothing? Oh. Thought I'd try.
Okay, I'll buy it.
Okay.
I have an automatic restart.
I love that one. Let's see. Somebody tried to stop me before on this one. Knock, knock. Banana. Knock, knock.
End that loop. End the loop.
End the loop, please stop. You end with orange. You glad I didn't say banana. Okay, all right. How about this one? Are you still working?
Yes.
Okay. All right, she didn't save you then. Ha ha.
I'm down to four of these.
Knock, knock.
Yes, sir.
Come on, play along.
That's my way of saying it.
No.
Who's there?
Who's there? Interrupting cow. Moo. Okay. That was it.
Okay. So, how about this joke?
Yeah.
So, a moth walks into a dentist's office.
Oh, what is?
A moth walks
Moth.
into a dentist's office, goes to the receptionist, or goes to the doctor and says, "Doctor, I think I'm a moth." And the doctor goes, "Well, if you think you're a moth, why did you come to the dentist's office?" And the moth responds, "Because the light was on."
I do have a joke. Okay. This is going to be a little weird. What's Han Solo's least favorite computer coding program?
No idea.
JavaScript.
JavaScript. Yes. Yeah. Oh. Da-da-da. Okay. So we've got all these done. All right. So we need to fix our code to make them all work. So let us open up our, not that one, our styles page. Open with, okay. So I have to go back and do it this way. There we go. So in my styles, I've got my label, and I'm going to give it a width of 52%, and I'm going to give my input a width of 46%. The reason that this will work, I shouldn't speak so soon, the reason that this should work is that the column that they're sitting inside is a fixed width. Right? Everything should then line up. Oops, not that one. Didn't save it. Oh, it didn't fix itself. Okay, what am I missing? Left call, display line block, floats. Pardon the interruption here. Center, float left. Should have been enough to do it. Let's go ahead and get that margin in there while we're here. Mine's yours lining up?
I did.
Oh, you did it your way, of course. Yes, I'm going to put some padding on it right now. Okay, so in the P tag, I'm going to go ahead and give it a margin of 0.3%, or sorry, 0.3 M, and then double check my code here. Just double check. That's funny. I did.
Width doesn't make any difference.
Sure enough. No, I didn't. All right. Thank you for that. Yep. I didn't copy it down right. That was the problem. Okay, so the label has to be display inline block. And I also, yeah, okay, we'll fix that in just a second. Yes. And input, yeah, input is simply a width. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, so I'll back up. Sorry about the delay here. All right. Yes.
We'll try and fix things. There's the problem.
I went off script so that you guys didn't have to do the entire build of the page. At the last minute, I put together part of the page. What that meant is that now I'm not exactly in my instruction set correctly. And so I forgot this little nugget here. When you do the label, you've got to do inline block for display.
That will not only line it up with all of the other, with everything also everything has its own little section.
Yes. Okay. Are we here? We got this done? Okay. We're going to do one more thing. You'll notice here that in the browser, these line up center, which is nice. It's a nice way to display, but it doesn't look like it then belongs to the field that it goes with. So we're going to go ahead and align that right. All right, so for each of the labels, go ahead and put in here text align right. Okay, so that's in the label CSS. And that should look a lot better. That looks like a real form, right? It does. It does look clean. All right, so if you give this portion, the label, a width in here, then it will allow things to line up. All right, so I've given the input a width, I've given the label a width, and I put them all into a div that has a particular width. So then everything lines up nicely. Okay, does that make any sense? Did I lose anybody there? That little interruption. Try this. Put your input in line block also. I don't know why. Oh, it might just be the narrowness of your browser. You don't have it closed now. Oh, you did? No, it's okay. It was when you did your copy. Huh. I think what let's do is see if we've got a little bit of time towards the end of class and see if we can get that close.
Or even if, your script's up there, then I can just go back and check it.
Okay. Okay. So I think let's go ahead and we're just going to get one last element in there before we start working a little bit in JavaScript. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Oops, not that. Yeah, okay, so I'm in my HTML. We need to put into our form a button, not a submit button, but a standard sort of button. There it is. Okay. So I'll do p tag, close it out, and I'm going to put an input in here, type of button, ID of write story button, and the value is what the text shows up inside the button, right? It says value equals write the story. Do you put closing tags on input types? Good.
They're kind of a standalone thing.
You're a standalone. Okay. Why didn't I use a submit button? Any guesses? Yeah. If I did submit, you guys remember when we create a form, we give it an action and a method. If you put that action in there and let's say you say action process form.php, what it'll do when you hit that submit button is it will send it to the server and process that form. I don't want to process that form. I don't want to use that action. So instead of a submit, I'm putting a button. The distinction is maybe muddy at first until you see what the two things do. Right? Submit will actually try and submit that form to a script. A button does anything I want it to. Right? If I tell it to, send me an alert, I can make it do that. If I tell it to do some JavaScript, that's what it'll do. All right, so we got the button up there. Okay, this is what it should look like. Here's my write the story. Okay, let's see if... Yeah? Okay. I can. Did that fix it? No? Try making those values smaller still. It's the browser. Then you're done. Just stop messing around with it. Okay. You guys done? You got it?
Yeah, I just need to.
Got it? Okay. All right, so JavaScript. It's not that bad. Until you start getting deep into it, right? Okay, so we don't need the CSS. I'm not here to talk about that. Okay, so a couple different places you can put JavaScript. I'm going to put them just inside the end body or the closing body tag. Okay, and in order to create some JavaScript, I need to give it a tag, script. Okay, and then close it out. There we go. So anything that I do in here now is going to be JavaScript by default. That's the default language of the browser for coding. If you did something different, you would probably have to indicate what kind of language you're using, but you don't with JavaScript. You just say script, and it all works.
One of the changes in HTML5 was you can't use anything but JavaScript.
Oh, is that right?
That's why they dropped it.
Gotcha. Well, that makes perfect sense then. All right, so JavaScript and many, many programming languages basically run off of the superhero, the variable, right? It's humble. and it does a lot, right? In order to create change from one place to another, you basically have to name something and then change its value, which is nothing more than a variable, right? Everybody taken algebra in some way, shape, or form, right? Okay, so no mysteries there. If I set x to some value, I can continue to use x for that value. And the way we declare that in JavaScript is with var, all right? Var is the humble variable, and now I'm going to use some word here or letter. You don't want to start this with numbers or special characters. It won't work. It'll probably create an error for you. But let's say I said variable a equals some number. Okay, it's not like CSS where you put colons there. It's got to use equals. Now, the hard thing about JavaScript and many of the other languages is that JavaScript is pretty unforgiving with its syntax. You got to get it right.
Yeah.
That's the frustrating part.
No, you get one thing wrong. Like you don't put in a period, or you don't.
Yeah. A semicolon in the wrong place or a lack of semicolon in the right place. It's not pretty. It's mean. Yes, and there is a the console on Chrome that will show you many times when you've made mistakes. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. All right, so I could create a handful of variables here. Let's say I did variable b equals 2. All right, variable c equals a plus b. What do you predict will be the answer of C?
Well, I'm just going to do some simple math here, but I'm guessing it's going C will equal 3.
C will equal 3. You can verify by doing a method. That method is alert. Okay, so I could say alert C. Yes, yes. Okay, go ahead and save that. Now let's go ahead and take it to our browser and refresh the browser, and you should see this. Okay, that is an alert. Okay, that's the alert method. Method is an action, basically. It's a way of doing things. It's what? Way to do a pop-up. Exactly. Oh, do they? Let's go ahead and show you. Now, a lot of purists out there, if you were to enter onto a forum, some code that has you alert something, some of them will chew you a new one because console is the only way to do things. All right, so we'll go ahead and do console. All right. Now, what I'm doing here, JavaScript is what's called an object-oriented language. So I'm going to name the object I'm going to work with first, and that is console. Now I'm going to give it a method, right? I'm going to call some action that console can perform, and that is log. Console.log should be right. Okay, go ahead and save that. Go to your page here, and if you hit refresh, guess what happens? Nothing. But it did. It actually did. Up here in the menu, if you go down to More Tools and then Developer Tools, you will find a whole bunch of things. One of them is the console. So you click on console, you should have the answer to that right up at the top. This is a debugging tool that you use when you're messing with your code. If you screw something up in your HTML or your CSS, sometimes it will tell you in the console. Okay? That brings up the console? I will not remember that, Mike. I'm just telling you. Okay.
I'm saying it for the people.
Gotcha. For those who are smarter than me. Okay.
For those who are trying to find the paths to mine.
Yeah.
I got extra web development.
Yeah. Okay. So in JavaScript, wouldn't it be nice if you could just, let's say if I wanted to put some text into my story bubble, change the story bubble text here, if I could just, like console.log, that I could just type it in there, right? Say story bubble text dot log and say some text in here. It doesn't work, okay? Unfortunately, when you're naming a variable or naming an object in JavaScript that to get a hold of in HTML, you got to go through a few more hoops. Maybe that's the right way of saying it. All right, this is the way we actually do it. Is we say var, and then we're going to call it something. All right, I'll say d equals. I'm going to be calling a method from the document, which is an object. The document that we're writing right now has some methods, some actions that it can get a hold of. Let's say document. Now this is the method that we're looking for, is get element by, whoops, ID. I always forget if it's a capital D on the end. It's not, thank you. Okay? Get element by ID is how I'm going to get a hold of something in the HTML document. And that something that I'm going to get a hold of is that ID. And I want to put it in quotes in here. Yeah. Okay? And then put a semicolon at the end, because if you don't, there will be wars and rumors of wars. The beast will rise. Okay. It won't work. Now that I have my variable, I can use and reuse this as much as I want. So let's say I put in here D. That now is that item right there. Say D dot text content. That is my method that I'm using. Text content. Is it equals?
For what?
Or is it in parentheses? Text content.
It's functional.
Okay.
Oh no. Or action, in this case, it's action with.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll try that. And if I'm wrong, we can always go back and fix it. Okay. Okay. All right, so if I go back to my browser, hit refresh. Oh, uncut error, not a function. You can always go back and fix it. I'll probably get it wrong again. But we'll find out. So, there we go. I always forget. But it's
And I literally looked at this yesterday.
right. Okay. Yeah. So because I named this basically the object here, now I can access all of that object's methods. That right there is well, actually this is an attribute, right, of that object. And I can change it. That's the cool thing about JavaScript. This is what makes it interactive and fun. And this is how we get to make Mad Libs for fun. We are out of time, folks. So we're going to continue this on Tuesday and probably finish it on Thursday. Okay? And then we're done in class after that.
I'll be left to be making websites.
Yep. Exactly right. Okay, so Sam, you fixed yours, right? Excellent.